This program tonight is part of a parent education talk series entitled Raising, Parenting the Selfie Generation, Instilling Resilience, And it's a partnership that we've been doing with the library now for a number of years. And this year, we're very, very happy to have Meg Whitbeck with us, who's going to talk to us about managing stress, the power of food. We've never actually done a program on food, and food is, of course, an essential daily activity, an essential aspect of our health and management of stress. So we're really happy that Meg is here. Meg is a registered dietitian and nutrition educator. She has years of experience with clinical nutrition and nutrition education. She's worked for Chartwell School Dining Services in 2 different Connecticut public school districts. And for Ridgefield parents, what you need to remember there is that that's the same dining service that Ridgefield School uses. So we're going to get a little insight there. And she has been the flagship dietitian for the Center of Excellence at Ridgefield BNA Health. She's now the co-owner and founder of NU, NU, LLC with Ava Saphir. And she's married and the mom of 2 school-aged children here in Ridgefield. So without further ado, welcome, Meg. I just want to add that we will be taking questions during the presentation. So at the bottom of your screen, you will see a chat and a Q&A. If at all possible, please use the Q&A to ask your questions. And if we link anything or have an article for you, we will put it in the chat section. The slides to this presentation will be available on the Project Resilience Facebook page, as will the video. That may take a day or 2. So you can keep checking back for that, but the slides will be up tomorrow. Okay, welcome, Meg. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Awesome. I'm so glad to be with everyone tonight. As you can probably guess, food is my passion, and this is what I love to do. And so I just wanted to share some insights with you about how our nutrition can be crucial in managing stress. I think it's probably a generally acceptable statement at this point to say that this has been a pretty exceptionally stressful time in all of our lives. And so I hope that I can give you just some tidbits and some insight tonight as we work together. Okay, so yep, this is the little bit of stuff about me. I'm so grateful for my time at RVNA Health. It was amazing. But now I'm fulfilling my lifelong dream of being a small business owner. So I know I've met so many of you through my work at RVNA Health. And so I'm just glad to see you again here tonight. So tonight we're going to talk about a little bit about what stress is. I think we have this sense that stress is only a feeling or an emotion. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about what's actually happening in your body when you're experiencing stress, how the body handles it. I want to give you an insight about stress eating that rocked my world when I learned it. And so I'm going to spread the word. A little bit about chronic stress and immune function, strategies for managing stress with our diet. And my summary slide is really just how to stress the best. And of course, throughout the entire presentation, Q&A, Q&A, Q&A. I love it when I get interrupted because it keeps us all engaged. So raise your hand, pop in, drop in on the Q&A, and I'm happy to answer questions along the way. So what is stress? First of all, stress isn't bad. Stress saves your life. It protects you. Think about cavemen. They hear the growl of a lion, and all of a sudden they're able to run twice as fast and get away from that lion who's hunting them. So what's happening in our body when we experience stress is that, cortisol and adrenaline production just pump up. Your body can give a jolt of adrenaline very, very, very quickly. With that comes a rise in our blood pressure and our heartbeat. And then our breathing becomes quick and shallow. All of that allows blood to flow to our muscles where our body perceives that it's needed to run away from a stressor. With that comes the secretion of a little bit of extra blood sugar. So we have the energy we need, boom, to get that running away, that flight or fright stuff done. Our reflexes sharpen. Have you ever woken up to a bump in the night and it's almost like your hearing is 20 times out of normal? That is a stress response. and your senses become heightened. As a new mother, I remember everything, every little smell concerned me. That stress of becoming a new mother is a beautiful thing, but my senses were very heightened at that time, and I'll never forget that. Stress also, there's positive stress and negative stress, stress that saves our lives, stress that's fun, like fireworks display. And there's chronic stress, that long-term ongoing. So I want to be sure we know the difference between the two. So short-term or acute stress is something we easily recover from. That's that sudden loud noise, a jolt, a shock, a party, being chased by an animal, a race or sporting event, a quiz or exam, a fight, road rage, and like I said, that fireworks show. Acute stress is resolved pretty easily and pretty quickly. Chronic stress is that long-term stress. It usually has an emotional involvement. It's a repeated or long-lasting event. So that could be chronic illness, bullying, abuse, neglect, feeling unsafe, stress at work, marital problems, financial strain, or a global pandemic. And resolution of chronic stress takes time. A little side note is if you are suffering from abuse, neglect, bullying, things like that, you need to reach out. And we have so many great links for resources here in our town. But I just want to make sure that we know the difference between acute and chronic stress. So this is a summary slide of kind of everything that's happening in the body. And as you can see, many organs and systems are involved. So what happens when we experience acute stress? We deplete our antioxidants. So think about a sporting event or a haunted hayride. This is a picture from a haunted house. We might feel tired or fatigued. Have you ever had, I don't know, like you hear really good news and you're so pumped up, and that night you get home, you're like, whoa, I am beat. I'm so tired. Or say you go to a scary movie and you're exhausted afterwards. That post-stress return to normalcy can be accompanied by fatigue. You might have some emotional dysregulation. So if something traumatic happens, like a car accident, or you get bad news, your emotions can be all over the place. You might feel frazzled, and it might experience something like an upset stomach. Some people, after an acute stress response, they might get diarrhea, or maybe they can't go to the bathroom for a while. Those are all normal. Some acute stress things are resolved quickly, and some lead to long-term issues, such including post-traumatic stress disorder. And so again, if you feel like you're experiencing that, we got to reach out and get the help we need. Chronic stress, that stress that's just continuous. It's like your terrible boss at work or your neighbor who's giving you a hard time, bullies. Some effects of chronic stress, again, you still deplete your antioxidants. You might develop higher blood pressure and blood sugar over time. Trouble sleeping, ADD, ADHD, weight changes, mood swings. The mood swings might trickle into anxiety and depression. Physiologically, your body isn't able to make new proteins as well. So new proteins or new healthy cells repair. Children and teens who are going through chronic stress, they don't grow as well. Reduced sex hormones, which can affect teens and adults. So again, teenagers who are under acute stress, they might not achieve their sexual development at the pace that they should. And adults might have issues with libido, or menstrual cycles can get out of whack. And actually, men might have reduced sperm production when they have chronic stress. With all of this, it leads to a reduced immune system function. How the heck can your immune system do the best that it can if you're dealing with all this other stuff? Also, if you've got a chronic health condition like arthritis, fibromyalgia, lupus, Crohn's, colitis, you might get flare-ups when you're under chronic stress. So let's break down that little bit of education from the beginning. Stress depletes your body of resources. Short-term stress is typically easy to recover from. Long-term stress contributes to declining health, and it could really tax the body over time. If chronic stress keeps up for too long, you might have mental, physical, and emotional health issues that come up, and you might even develop disease. Any questions so far?
Not so far.
Okay.
Feel free, audience, to ask questions.
All right, so we can't avoid all stress, but we can combat it. So this is when we're going to start to dive a little bit deeper. So first we define stress. We have an understanding of what we're talking about. We now know that stress has a physiological response in the body. It's not just an emotion. Stress is a change in how your organs and systems work. All right, so now we know this. So let's go in a little bit deeper. This is when I want to share my first tidbit about stress eating. This is the thing that like changed my life. Oh my goodness. So when we're stressed out, our blood flow, like when our heart rate goes up, right? Like I talked about, and our blood's flowing to the muscles, blood flow does not go to our digestive tract. So we use energy reserves from our muscles. And we also have like that shot of blood sugar that comes from our liver, not from our blood, not from the food in our belly. So stress, blood flowing to our muscles, blood sugar coming from our liver, and whatever blood sugar is remaining or energy in our muscles. Digestion, boom, not a priority. There is a digestive tract shutdown. If we choose to stress eat when we're under stress, we trigger digestion. So if we chew and swallow food, our body's like, whoa, we got to digest now. And our body thinks or can get the message that the stressor is over. So then if we're stressed and we eat, we calm down. So I don't know about you guys, but I've never stress eaten before. I've never sat down and just opened the pint of Ben & Jerry's from the freezer. I've never eaten a bag of popcorn in 5 minutes straight. I've never gone back to the cookie platter at Christmas baking and just boom, boom, keep eating. Stress eating is that knee-jerk response. We do it not because it's okay or normal, but because we're conditioned to, and we all tend to have access to food. So when we eat, our body's like, oh, the stress is over, and we get a calming response. So now we associate food with relaxation. However, this is only temporary. And as soon as our body like gets the message that food came and it's like, okay, I'm digesting, you can return to the stress state again. If we happen to eat junk food when we stress eat, it's going to pair with our already elevated stress hormone levels and that higher blood sugar. Remember, we got that jolt of blood sugar. And then if we're adding to that, our body's going to be like, whoa, I can't deal with all this. And it will store the excess energy as fat, which leads to weight gain. The weight gain leads to more stress. So stress eating, even though it feels good in the moment, it can lead to weight gain and it could lead to more stress. So can we use stress eating as a tool? So of course my mind is like, well, what can I stress eat? Like 10 stalks of celery? Do we have a Q&A?
We have a question, and it seems pertinent to what you're talking about right now, so okay. I wanted to get to it. Yep. Can you explain blood sugar? I feel like by the end of the day, I feel exhausted and sometimes slightly off. Is my blood sugar low by then?
So that really depends. I mean, if you have a history of blood sugar issues like diabetes, you might want to check your blood sugar at that time to see what's going on. Generally, if you hit the end of the day and you're just totally bushed, we always say like that 2 or 3 o'clock slump, 4 o'clock slump. You got to rewind. What has happened that day and how have you nourished yourself? Have you had a good breakfast, a nourishing snack, and a healthy lunch? Are you hydrated? Have you drank enough water throughout the day? So when I am talking to my patients about that 3, 4 o'clock slump, I have them rewind on the days where they really feel it. How has their nutrition and hydration been? And have they been sedentary? Have they moved their bodies? So that would be a question that would be worth digging into a little bit more, because we can get rid of that 2 and 3 and 4 o'clock slump by making sure that we nourish ourselves, hydrate ourselves, and move our bodies. Okay, so yeah, can I eat a pound of celery and stress eat celery so I don't gain weight, but I get to stress eat and trigger the calming response? We need to be really careful. That's not an okay response. If we associate food with the resolution of stress or resolution of challenging emotions, that's not okay either, because that's going to lead to unhealthy eating habits and can even contribute to eating disorders. We have an eating disorder called binge eating disorder, which is exactly this. And binge eating disorder, or that eating to relieve emotional stress, can only contribute to more stress because we're not solving the problem. We're not getting to the bottom of it. If you must stress eat, have a glass of water and like a crunchy apple or something healthy and nourishing. Let's replete some of those antioxidants that we've stripped away. And now we're going to go into more how the immune system is affected. So chronic stress and immune function. Chronic stress and anxiety leads to consistently elevated stress hormones and reduced circulation to some organs. So if you think about it, if you are going to work and you are stressed out all day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 6 at work, you have exhausted the stress response. I mean, your body is just tired of flight or fright. And every time your colleague is in your ear, or your boss gives you a new deadline, you are diverting circulation away from your digestive tract. Your heart rate elevates, your blood pressure elevates, your blood flow also goes away from your kidneys because your body is like, well, I'm running away from a lion. I can't have to go pee right now. And so if you're consistently stressed, you're triggering that over and over. So the 2, 3, and 4 o'clock slump might just be, I am just beat up from all this stress. So over time, if you're dealing with chronic stress, your digestive tract, your kidneys, and other organs, they're not getting what they need. So our body reduces the synthesis of new proteins, or the building of new cells and new tissues. Our red blood cells just get worn out. They're totally depleted of antioxidants, which are your vitamins and minerals and other nutrients. And in short, our body has a harder time getting rid of toxins, peeing, flushing out toxins, and fewer nutrients are getting to the cells because digestion is just not as effective. So then how can we expect our immune system to function as well? The analogy I use is like, if you've got a rowboat filling with water, when you're stressed out, you're bailing out with a shot glass versus bailing out with a bucket. Your resources are limited. All right, we haven't even really talked about nutrition yet. I'm still in the education part. How do we reduce stress and help our body function normally? All right, we've all heard this, I'm sure, in these talks. Sleep, get good sleep. Your bedroom should be for sleep and sex only. If you are not in, well, let's just not go there, but sleep and sex only. No screens, no TVs, no computers. Charge your phone downstairs. Move your body, exercise and physical activity. Move your body. Practice breathing exercises. You can just Google or go on YouTube, free breathing exercise, and just check them out. Pretty cool stuff. Prayer, meditation, things like that, just opening your mind and heart, really being with your loved ones and laughing. Laughter and loved ones definitely reduce stress. So watch a funny movie, call your best friend. There's talk therapy with a psychologist or psychiatrist, and things like journaling. If you're more of a private person, whip out a journal and just write it down. It's your own private world. So when we reduce stress and find these coping mechanisms that are effective for us, we calm down the flight or fright response going on in our bodies, and we give our body the opportunity to restore and function normally. So what fuels all of those things? Now we get to food, healthy, nutritious food. So if we want to try exercise, if we want to get a good night's sleep, if we want to be able to have the energy to hang out with our loved ones, we need to nourish our body.
So we have another question or
Okay.
a comment. A lot of people listening tonight also have to work from home. So what do they do if they have to work in their bedrooms?
Like I'm doing right now? What's that like? So one thing I try to do is, like, I'm sitting in a chair. I'm not working from my bed. So I know several of my friends and even, my colleagues, They have desks that they've set up in their bedroom because their kids have taken over other rooms in the house with their learning. So just be sure that you switch up the environment. So when I'm working, all my shades are up, my curtains are open, the bed is made, no one goes on the bed. I'm working in a different spot in my room. So just leave your bed for that relaxing place.
And maybe as a psychologist, I could just jump in here. I've
Yeah.
encouraged people to switch rooms. So maybe go work in your daughter's room and have your daughter work in your room so that you're actually working in a different environment, even though you both need a quiet room where you can close the door. Because that can.
Yeah, that's a good idea. If your kids will allow you.
Yes, of course. There's always that.
Or like me, I also have a basement, a little finished basement where it was our playroom and I had my treadmill in it, but then now we have an alternative table there because we needed a different space for one of our kids to go learn. And so now my space, which was for exercise, that's got weights and stuff, now has a desk set up. So my kids had a hard time getting used to working down there because that used to be mommy's zone. So it works both ways for us and for our kids. Okay, so foods to replete the body. This is interesting. This is a little like sciencey, but just hang with me for a second. If you think about your body is made up of cells. There's a cell for everything: skin cells, blood cells, brain cells, hair cells, digestive cells. When our body's under stress, those cells get under attack. So stress forms free radicals. We've heard this term, free radicals, before. Now I'm telling you what it means. So stress forms free radicals, which are components of cell breakdown. And free radicals actually start to damage each and every one of our cells. It's called oxidative stress. Free radicals, they need to be cleaned up and shipped out. So they are scooped up by our blood and excreted in our urine. Sometimes they can be sweat off during a workout, exhaled in our breath, depending upon what it is. Our body has many ways of getting it out through exhalation, sweat, bowel movements, urine. So free radicals need to be cleaned up by our body. Antioxidants, oxidative stress, oxidants, antioxidants are what the body uses to do that dirty work of cleaning out. So vitamins, minerals, nutritious, healthy food, think of it as cell cleaners. They're actually cleaning your cells and helping your cells in your body restore. Soak that in. So antioxidants, the foods that we're eating. This word we've heard our whole life. Foods rich in antioxidants, vitamins and minerals. They have a role in our body's physiological functioning. So we might have our happy, stable cell. Hello, a free radical comes along and scoops up something that the cell needs. And it's an unstable cell. These antioxidants, they've got tons of little bits to donate and repair the cell. So the antioxidant comes along and rescues that unstable cell. So when we have healthy, nutritious foods that are rich in antioxidants, we're helping our body do the repair and regeneration and restoration that it needs to do. You could remember this whole list: berries and fruit, leafy greens, herbs and spices, nuts and seeds. But what do you notice about everything in this picture? It's got such bright, intense colors.
It's like eating the rainbow.
Yes. So you've heard they eat the rainbow. I mean, we're all saying the same thing. Herbs and spices, people forget. I mean, a sprig of basil transforms a dish. Freshly ground spices make your meal just pop. A squeeze of lemon or lime juice in a glass of water, and all of a sudden it's triply satisfying. Your body is gravitated towards these things because it offers so much. These foods, herbs, spices, nuts, seeds, they offer so much. So the ones that are listed here pack the most punch. So green leafy vegetables, as well as all vegetables, but even root vegetables. We forget that sweet potatoes, carrots, parsnips, turnips, even though they might not be the most complex or brightest, they might seem boring, they've got minerals in them that our body needs. So plants, nuts, seeds, green tea, herbs, spices, you get the picture. And then what about protein? So these foods generally, other than some nuts and seeds, and whole grains will have some protein as well, but just not that much. Well, we need protein to build, repair, and protect our body. If we're under stress, we want to choose our protein carefully. Our protein needs to be lean. Lean means lower in fat. So high fat foods are oxidizing or oxidants. Remember, antioxidants are fruits and vegetables. High fat foods are one of the oxidizing foods or oxidants in our life. So our poultry needs to be boneless and skinless. Choose leaner cuts of beef. Eggs, even though they've got cholesterol and fat in the yolk comes with really good stuff. So eggs a few times a week are considered a lean protein. If you happen to have high cholesterol and you know that when you have a diet high in cholesterol, it gets worse, maybe you don't choose eggs. But for the general person, some eggs are good. Tofu, tempeh, seitan, legumes, beans, hello, great source of protein, and there's no fat. Skinless fish and fish fillets, these are all good sources of lean protein. I included fat-free dairy, fat-free Greek yogurt, or, sprinkling some cheese or skim milk. Those are all fine. Adults, we shouldn't go crazy on the dairy, but including a fat-free Greek yogurt as a snack each day is fine. Also, cheese is amazing. And so I don't recommend low-fat or fat-free cheese because why? But you can use cheese as an accent or a way to make a dish really special. So I made this giant Greek salad and I put crumbled feta on it, full fat feta, but that little bit of salt and the fat in the feta was so satisfying. So I'm not saying no fat. I'm just saying choose wisely. Oh, and water. Our body needs water for literally everything. How can we expect our kidneys to flush out toxins if we don't have good water in our body to flush it out in the first place? Our body needs water for everything. When we're dehydrated, it makes it harder to flush out toxins and process all this waste. When we're dehydrated, we can get more headaches. We can feel dizzy. My seniors, they say they're wobbly on their feet and they feel lightheaded. I say, hey, have you had enough to drink? And they say, I don't want to drink because I'm going to have to pee a lot and I don't want to have to go to the bathroom and get up and go. I'm like, well, if you drink a little bit more, you'll be steadier on your feet. A week later, I get emails and calls. Oh my gosh, I'm so much steadier on my feet. You were right. I just need to drink more. We don't realize when we were even just mildly dehydrated, our body is off balance. It's under a little form of stress, actually. So if you have fatigue, confusion, body aches, cramping, constipation, nausea, dry mouth, all of these things can be made better by staying hydrated.
So we have another question. Somebody wants to know if the sugar in milk is something that we need to be concerned with.
So anytime we have a whole food, so the lactose or the sugar that comes from milk is a natural sugar. Just like there's sugar in fruits and vegetables, there's sugar in legumes. We tend to throw the word sugar in when we should use the word carbohydrate or starch. So the sugars that are in milk, if it's part of a balanced diet, those carbohydrates can be used as energy. And so don't look at the naturally occurring carbohydrate that's in milk the same as you would look at table sugar or pumps of syrup at the coffee shop or desserts. It's not the same kind of sugar. The sugar that's in milk comes with calcium, it comes with vitamin D, it comes with riboflavin, vitamin B12, so on and so forth. So the quality of the sugar is just as important as the quantity. All right, so hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. We need to be hydrated. In the winter months, it also helps keep our skin from drying out. And I know my hands have really taken a beating lately with the hand washing and hand sanitizer. So if we stay hydrated, it's going to help with all of that. So I wanted to give you guys examples of some oxidants or foods and things in our life that really contribute to oxidative stress or those cells that have all the garbage around them in our body. High fat foods like fried and fast food junk food and highly processed food. So anything that comes like in the gas station on a shelf in a plastic wrapper. If something can stay in your pantry for a year and it tastes the same, I would say that that's a processed food. um, so I'm thinking like Doritos, chips, Cheetos, Twinkies. You get the picture. Candy and desserts, they're delicious. I'm not saying don't have them, just choose wisely. High fat meals, so like fettuccine alfredo, or you'd be surprised, a burger has so much fat in it. There's like 65 grams of fat in your average hamburger patty. It's crazy. And that's even without the fries and the mayo and the cheese. Sweetened beverages. So I use the word sweetened because artificially sweetened beverages with stevia, Splenda, sucralose are just as challenging on the body as actual sugar, like Coca-Cola, Sprite. Frozen dinners, salty foods. So anything that comes salted. Drugs and alcohol, of course, cause oxidative stress. Tobacco, whether you smoke it, vape it, or chew it, that causes mega oxidative stress. And energy drinks, so your rock stars, your Red Bulls, those kind of things. There's so much in terms of chemical additives in energy drinks that it is a mega stressor on your body. So these are things that you should minimize or eat significantly less of when you're stressed. I do have a rule though, Carol.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you. So after a hard workout, you'll hear or you'll read about people who will use a hydrating energy drink. Is there a type that you recommend? Or
So
did you say
most,
plain water and
yeah.
it would be better?
So most people do not need Gatorade, Powerade. Our kids don't need that. The only time we really want to consider sports drinks or electrolyte and carbohydrate enhanced beverages is when ourselves or our children are working out for more than 2 hours. So think about a day at a track tournament. Or I have a lot of friends in the running community where, we do long runs on the weekends. We're doing 10, 15-mile runs. We bring our sports drinks with us along the way. So extended exercise, a prolonged exercise, or if it's an intensely hot day. So maybe your child only has a 90-minute soccer game, so it's not the 2 hours, but it's 95 degrees out.
Right.
That's the time we use those.
Okay. And we had another question about how much water should we drink? Is there a way to figure out how much we should drink for our weight?
So many different rules. So you can take your weight. So if you weigh 150, half of your weight in ounces. So 75 ounces a day. You can also calculate. So say some people know more about nutrition and they know, okay, I need 2,200 calories a day. So they can just go 2.2 liters. So if you eat 1,600 calories a day, 1.6 liters. So you can just add a point between, that calorie amount. But generally speaking, 8-ounce glasses serves most of the population, or 60 to 120 ounces. So really, drink until your urine is clear or pale yellow, and then you are hydrated. There's so many rules, so many calculations. Just look at your urine. If it is pale yellow, straw colored, you're hydrated. If it gets to be dark yellow or brown, yeesh, you need to drink more fluids.
And another question, as a diabetic, is it better to have a diet soda or regular soda, or just avoid all soda?
Obviously, we want to avoid all soda. However, did you know that artificial sweeteners were originally designed for people who are insulin dependent diabetics? So if you have diabetes, but you're on oral therapies or you don't need insulin, you're just taking some medications to help, avoid all artificial sweeteners and sugar sweetened beverages because your body's still making some insulin, so you don't want to combat that. If you have type 1 diabetes, you're an insulin dependent diabetic, you are the one person who can go ahead and enjoy that stuff.
The diet soda or the regular soda? I'm curious.
Diet soda, okay. Artificial sweeteners, because that signal in the body of insulin and glucagon, that's not working. That's part of the disease that is type 1 diabetes. So for people who don't have that, you don't want to mess with that healthy balance. You don't want to rock that boat. If you're insulin dependent, well, you only have glucagon, you don't have insulin, right? And
Right.
so you can have artificial sweeteners because there's no boat to rock, so to speak.
Very interesting.
It is, and it's so fascinating. And again, these are general responses. I'm not giving advice to anyone in particular. These are general responses. If you have a specific question, you can reach out to me directly. All right, so these are substances to avoid. My one rule, it's not no, it's when and how much. So it's not like you can never have salty food or never have a cocktail or never have French fries. It's about choosing when to have them and how much of it to have. So on Friday nights, I'm making a big fat cosmopolitan. I'm cheersing to Friday night. I'm making a big fat cosmopolitan. I'm not making 3 big fat cosmopolitans. So it's not no, it's when and how much. So choose these types of foods for when they really matter to you. Like on the last day of school, I'm taking my kids out to the cake box and we're getting cupcakes. And then we might get a scoop of ice cream on Deborah Ann's on the walk home. That's a celebration. It's a special thing. It's not all the time. So enjoy if you really love French fries, or if you really love chips, or if you really love a good cocktail or a salty food. You can have it, but make sure you pair it. Make sure the rest of your day is healthy eating and you're well hydrated and your body can handle it. I'm the only dietitian who says, yes, you can go have French fries.
But not when you're stressed.
All right, so I have a little section that I call Boost Your Efforts. And this is where the supplements or other complementary and alternative therapies that I feel comfortable recommending to my patients, I share with you. But I just want you to know that the things that I'm sharing here are general suggestions that are widely accepted, and they should be only used only with the approval of your doctor, pharmacist, or dietitian. Because I don't know who has kidney disease. I don't know who has diabetes. I don't know who has what in this population that we're talking to tonight. So I urge you, yes, soak it all in, but before actually doing anything, consult your healthcare practitioner. All right, so magnesium. Magnesium is a mineral that has a super calming and relaxing effect. We've known this for a long time. Epsom salt baths were something that my grandma and my great aunt always took when they were stressed. I was like, Mom, what are they doing? They chill out because magnesium can be absorbed through the skin and has a super calming effect. And you can also use magnesium supplementation. I have a child who can sometimes have intense energy. And I give him Epsom salt baths. I learned the hard way, though, that it really chills him out and he may fall asleep in the bath. So never leave children unattended in an Epsom salt bath. But magnesium can have a super calming and relaxing effect. There are many forms of magnesium, like magnesium citrate, magnesium oxide, magnesium gluconate. You can play around because different forms of magnesium may have different side effects. Like magnesium citrate has a laxative effect and might make you have to use the restroom. Magnesium gluconate crosses the blood-brain barrier. So if you have anxiety with your restlessness, that might be a better choice for you. So overall, though, magnesium is safe. You know, it's very hard to overdose on magnesium, and it's good for all ages. But please consult your healthcare practitioner. Melatonin. Melatonin is a mainstay in our house. It is a hormone, and it's basically your body produces melatonin when it's getting ready for sleep, and it helps your brain drop into sleep. So sometimes when we're stressed, we don't have as good of melatonin production as we need to. So taking some additional melatonin helps you fall asleep. Might not make you stay asleep, but it can help start the night in a good way. It's generally safe for children, teens, and adults. You can get melatonin doses as small as 1 milligram and up to 10. Adults, once you get to 10 or 12 milligrams, that's maxing out. So a B complex vitamin. Have you ever heard of like the stress B complex? You might see our stress tabs or what some vitamin brands call it. But B complex vitamins are chock full of antioxidants. So if you're going through a period of really acute stress, or if every couple of days you just want to pop a stress B supplement to boost those antioxidants in your system, that's totally fine. Just make sure that you're taking the right formula for you and your needs. So again, you might want to talk to your pharmacist, dietitian, or doctor about that. Certain people can't metabolize certain types of B vitamins. And so your healthcare practitioner would have insight if that's an issue for you. Aromatherapy. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. I am like, aromatherapy works. Essential oils, diffusers, it totally works. And aromatherapy, you can have something around you, but not in you. So I like that because it can change the environment or mood around you and help chill you out, but you're not taking anything.
Mhm.
Aromatherapy has been used for thousands of years. So I listed a few scents or things used in aromatherapy that are clinically proven to have a calming effect on the brain. So lavender is the big one. Vetiver, cedarwood. If you have a cedar closet, just go stand in the cedar closet. Things like that. And then herbal supplements. So adaptogens are kind of new on the scene. Ashwagandha is the big one. But you might hear of this whole host: valerian root, kava kava, holy basil, also elderberry for boosting immunity, echinacea, golden seal. So herbal supplements can be very effective. However, these herbal supplements have a lot of drug and food interactions. So herbal supplements can be your ticket, and it can be a much more natural and less expensive way of achieving some health goals that you have, but you must take herbs with guidance. You must.
Can I just
Go
jump
ahead.
in here too as a psychologist? If people in the audience are taking antidepressant, please do not take an herbal supplement without talking to your doctor, your psychiatrist, because there are serious interactions with antidepressants.
Yep. So antidepressants, anticoagulants. So
Mhm.
your warfarin, Coumadin, Plavix. So antidepressants, anticoagulants, and what was the third one? I had a third one in mind. Poop. That always happens to me. Um, It'll come back to me later. But there are some major drug classes that are commonly taken by a lot of people in the population. Oh, cholesterol meds, statins,
Mhm.
where herbs interact very highly with these prescription medications. But for someone who's not on anything and wants to see if aromatherapy or
Mhm.
chamomile tea helps before they start an antidepressant,
Aromatherapy is completely fine.
yeah. The one thing I did learn about aromatherapy is that lavender is very effective for relaxation. However, it is high in phytoestrogens. So women and men should not be slathering themselves in lavender lotions and creams. So we want to be careful about how much of that lavender actually gets into our body, because it functions like a phytoestrogen or a plant-based estrogen.
So we have a question from someone who has an autoimmune issue, wondering,
Mhm.
would it be a good idea to take elderberry or other herbs that don't boost the immune system? I'm sorry, the question is, would you not want to take elderberry?
Yeah, so with autoimmune conditions, you do need to be careful
Mhm.
because your immune system is attacking its own cells. So you don't want to necessarily make your immune system more active because it can flare the condition. We see this especially with psoriasis, lupus, Crohn's, and colitis. Um, Psoriasis flares can get much worse when taking echinacea and golden seal. I've had people saying, "Oh, I must have a food allergy," but they're taking elderberry, echinacea, and golden seal because it's cold and flu season. So if you have an autoimmune condition, you kind of want the opposite effect, but there's other things you can do to boost your immune function without boosting your whole immune system. Love the questions. Is there a couple more?
Yeah, there's one more. Are you ready to move on to the next slide? Because it's going back a little bit.
No, let's go back. Let's answer this question before we move on.
Are Costco frozen dinners that bad for you?
Read the label. Okay, so Costco is actually doing a good job with trying to find frozen food items that are not that unhealthy or processed. For example, great frozen fruits for smoothies. You can also get lean hamburger patties where the only ingredient is 92% lean beef. Hello, great economical way of getting some lean beef into your world, especially if you've got a house full of kids and you need to feed a lot. But things like the yakitori noodles, or even some of the veggie burgers, like if you actually read the label on a Boca burger, it's pretty high in salt. So it would be better to grill a portobello mushroom cap than a Boca burger. So you'd have to read the food label and look to see how much fat and sodium is in the food. That would kind of give you an indicator if it's healthy or maybe less healthy. The higher the fat and the higher the sodium, the less healthy it will be.
And then we've got a couple of questions after your last slide. If you have good nutrition, do you still need to take supplements?
No. If you eat a diet rich in fruits and vegetables, root vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, you should be getting everything you need from food. And if you're generally not injured, you recover well from injury, you don't get sick often, you're doing great.
Well.
Yep.
Okay. What about herbal teas?
Again, so herbal teas are herbs. Some are more benign. For example, chamomile, you don't really extract that much active compound from chamomile when making chamomile tea. That's why it's something that's widely available. But something like kava, I don't even think you can find kava tea anymore because it was actually a more potent extraction of the compound. So herbal teas are still herbs and they follow the same rules as herbal supplements. However, herbal teas can give you a little bit of control. So you might soak your tea bag for 1 minute instead of 10, things like that. But it's a good question.
And another one, what about CBD?
All right, so CBD, I decided not to put it on because we could talk all night about it.
And also, we're laughing, this is for the audience, we're laughing because we talked about this question coming up before we logged on today.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We knew this question.
So yeah, we could talk about it all night. I have tried CBD on myself and my family members. There are a lot of benefits. Again, just treat it like any other supplement or herb. Just talk to your healthcare provider. What's cool about CBD is that it causes fewer side effects and drug interactions than other natural remedies, which is awesome, I think. I personally don't know enough about it to speak openly. I'm not opposed and I'm not outwardly pro for everyone. I've seen some really good research studies. I've tried it myself. I've put it in my own body. So if it works for you, go for it. But you got to treat it like any other herb. All right. So the mind. We forget that our most useful tool is our body and our mind. So our brain is the control center for our body. When we use our mind, we can combat stress more effectively. So be smart about stress. Mindfulness is one of our greatest tools. So mindfulness reduces anxiety, it integrates emotions, it calms you down, it could help relieve chronic pain and reduce stress. And get this, mindfulness can be used in eating too. So what exactly is mindful eating? Again, we could have a whole night about this. So if you guys want me back, I can do a whole talk about mindful eating. And actually my colleague Ava would be even better than I would at this topic. But mindful eating, what is it? I love this cartoon. I have this hanging up at my desk. Today I will live in the moment. Unless the moment is unpleasant, then I will eat a cookie.
So maybe you can also, while you're talking about this, is this the same as intuitive eating?
It's one and the same. So my colleague Ava has done additional education and training in mindful eating and intuitive eating. And that's something I asked her just a few weeks ago. I was like, so is it different than intuitive? She's like, they're kind of one and the same. Some individuals like one word more than the other, but the principles are the same. An intuitive lifestyle includes mindful eating. So intuitive would be the big circle and mindful eating would be a little circle in. But interchangeable in terms of nutrition. Maybe not everything else. But again, this is when I would like Ava sitting next to me and chime in. Okay, so principles of mindful eating. Mindfulness means focusing on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting your feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. It's just being here in this moment. Eating mindfully means taking time away from the distractions to enjoy your food calmly and intentionally. Mindful eating allows you to develop an awareness of your experiences, physical cues, and emotions about food. The example that comes to mind all the time when I'm talking about this is you're eating a meal that tastes so good, and before you know it, you're so full and you're uncomfortably full. And now that delicious meal has become a source of anxiety and physical pain for you. If we eat mindfully, we enjoy that amazing meal without the negative consequences of overindulging. Um, so sitting down to that amazing, like, oh my gosh, what was I had these short ribs at Terra Soul, and I was like, oh, they're so good. And I ate the whole thing and I was in agony. When in reality, I should have savored each bite and taken home the leftovers instead of trying to experience it all in one sitting. So I wasn't eating mindfully that night. Mindful eating in stress reduction and healthy nutrition. I mean, it's part of this bigger picture that I'm trying to, share with you tonight. Mindful eating will allow you to replace those unhealthy thoughts, feelings, and behaviors about food, dealing with food, with more like healthier and more conscious responses to stress. You allow your body to digest food more easily. If you're eating while on a conference call between, or like you take the camera off your Zoom and you're eating and drinking over here and trying to stay on your Zoom and eating and drinking over here, I mean, you're in a stress state. Your body's not going to digest that food well. So when you eat mindfully, when you take the 20 minutes to sit down for a meal, you're less likely to overindulge and your body can digest food more easily and then get from that food what it needs to be healthy. Mindful eating will help you to see that healthy food can be enjoyable and satisfying. So sometimes, I mean, I know I've had patients say, oh my gosh, I look at like celery and carrot sticks and well, that's not enjoyable to me. That's not satisfying. Well, have you let healthy food be a source of calm enjoyment for you? Have you sliced up a perfectly awesome gala apple from apple picking and savored it one slice at a time? Changes the whole thing. So it's some tips and strategies kind of overarching this whole night from me and Ava in terms of mindful eating. Cook from scratch when you can. So cooking is actually part of mindful eating. The chopping, the mixing, the aromas of things warming up. Avoid distractions while eating. So distractions can trigger that stress response, that blood flow away from the stomach and digestive tracts into the muscle. So distraction can trigger stress, making simple enjoyment of food and digestion an additional stressor. Eat at the table, not in the car or on the couch or in your bed. Avoid stressful conversations during mealtime. It is not time to talk about report cards. It's not time to talk about getting, I don't know, bad news.
Credit card bill.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the cell phone bill, kids. So we just want to avoid stressful conversations during mealtime because we don't want to associate mealtime with stress. Eat slowly, put your fork down, close your eyes for a couple bites, really taste your food. I find it crazy when I make an effort to stop and eat slowly. I'm like, oh, wow, this is what this really tastes like. And set the mood. That sounds kind of cheesy, but think about when you go out to a restaurant. The lighting's like not as bright and they have music on and it just helps you chill out. So why not just do that at home? I can't say it now, but the lady robot in the other corner of my room, if you say her name and tell her to play something, she will. And so use these tools in your environment to your advantage. I included here in these slides, which will be sent to you, so you don't have to worry about writing this down, a mindful eating exercise. You can do this with anything. The classic example is with a single raisin. I prefer something like a bowl of grapes, so I have more than one to deal with. But do a mindful eating activity like this, alone or with your family. It changes how you eat and perceive food.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so our key points from tonight, how to stress the best. Sleep. We got to turn off the screens and sleep. Getting our body moving every day. Eating healthy food. Now you know what to do. Antioxidant rich foods, lean proteins, lots of hydration. Mindfulness, prayer, meditation, laughter and loved ones. So making time to chill out and have a good time. Talk therapy, journaling, aromatherapy, supplements, herbs. So this list changed a little bit from before. But all of these things are now in your toolbox for getting through periods of stress and combating chronic stress. I included a few of my favorite resources for more like adult, for lack of better term, recipes. I love Everyday Food by Martha Stewart. All of her recipes have few ingredients, fresh ingredients, really tasty. There's a couple that I just have made for years and years. The Modern Proper kid-friendly recipes. This link has 30 kid-friendly recipes from the simple to the extravagant that there's only one or two that my kids really didn't like, but you can look through and get some kid-friendly recipes for the family. All Trails is a hiking website and app, so you can look up, hiking trails in your area. So even when gyms are closed and you have to be socially distant, you can get out in nature any day of the year. And so All Trails will give you maps.
There are 500 walking trails in the Ridgefield area.
Yes.
Stocked.
Mm-hmm.
They're all on that app. It's great.
Yep, it's awesome. And then there's also, if you have young kids, if you go to, you can search for it, I'm sure, but you can Google, find the little Lego guy in Connecticut. We did that. So a lot of different hiking places, there was one at Woodcock Nature Center and one at Pierpont. They hide a Lego character and give you the latitude and longitude for it. And see if I can find it. It's a fun adventure with the kids. And so we use All Trails and that point to find some of these Lego guys. The Daily Calm. So this is a YouTube channel where every day they upload a new 10-minute meditation, a guided meditation. Today, it was just simply remembering to breathe and feeling paying attention to each part of your body. It's 10 minutes. It's free. You click on it. It's a lovely male or female voice, and it's a great introduction to mindfulness and meditation. And then just using good old-fashioned Google. So I decided to, as an example, I searched for healthy snack ideas for the next slide, and I'll show you what I got. I just Googled healthy snack ideas, and these are some of the resources that came up. So you don't have to have 1,000 cookbooks. You don't have to have $1 million. If you have Google, you can get some great ideas. And some of the ones on the left were super simple, and as you move right, it required more time. But there's no excuse. We have the resources at our fingertips.
So along with this, we have a question on, just curious, why eat only boned chicken? So did you list boned chicken back there?
Boneless, skinless. It just so happens, that the meat directly around bones tends to be higher in fat and cholesterol. When we take out the bones, we tend to take out the connective tissue and some of the meat that is higher in that cholesterol and fat. So if you think about a chicken leg, for example, the meat gets darker closer to the bone. So by taking out the bone and taking off the skin, you're reducing a significant amount of fat, saturated fat, and in turn, cholesterol. All right, so I provided contact information here. If you have questions, if you need more help, reach out to us. We are here for you. And, happy to be a resource for anyone kind of navigating the topic tonight. And I see a couple more questions.
Yeah, there's a couple more. So one person mentioned that the game you were talking about is called Hide and Find Connecticut.
Thank you. I couldn't remember it. Hide and Find Connecticut. So much fun.
And the next person asked a question that I was thinking about too. So what about bone broth? Is that full of fat? I thought that was supposed to be good for you. So I was thinking about the same thing when you said, boneless chicken. Isn't the bone actually contributing something to the chicken?
Mhm. So inside bones is the marrow. The marrow contains a very dense form of protein called collagen. Collagen is touted as a superfood because it contains certain building blocks of protein called amino acids that we don't find in other protein sources. A misconception about taking various forms of protein, like whey protein versus collagen versus plant-based protein, is that somehow the magical formula of collagen is better than another form of protein. What happens with every kind of protein compound that we eat is our body breaks it down into individual amino acids and uses the amino acids or building blocks of protein as it needs. So say perhaps there is an amino acid found in collagen that your body hasn't gotten in a while, it'll really like it and use it. There are also another thing to consider is that bone broth, it has more of that marrow-based collagen protein in it. So if you look at the protein in a food label of bone broth, it's going to have more protein than collagen because of that. And then the other thing is that, so yes, our body will break down ingested proteins into individual amino acids and use the ones that it needs and prefers and excrete the rest. But get this, if you give your body good quality protein, good quality fats, like your plant-based fats versus animal fats, animal fats tend to be higher in saturated fat and cholesterol. Your plant-based fats from, olive oil, canola oil, nuts, seeds tend to be lower in saturated fat and cholesterol. So if you give your body healthier and better quality building blocks, it's going to choose the better quality building materials than less, healthy versions. So it's like a builder. If you give them bricks that are chipped and cracked and really old, or a brand new awesome brick, he's going to choose the brand new awesome brick to build his house. Your body is going to choose the better quality. So if two versions of protein are coming in and one is just simply a better quality protein with more than what your body needs at that moment, it's going to choose that one and get rid of the other. Same with fat. If you're eating a lot of saturated fat and cholesterol, your body needs fat. So it's going to be like, all right, I guess I'll take this one. But if you flood the system with healthy fats, your body's going to be like, oh, I got the good stuff, and make healthy cells out of that better building material. So maybe that was a little bit more than the person asked for. But bone broth is fine and good to use in moderation. Look for one that isn't too high in salt or too high in fat.
And then we had a comment that you didn't really mention grains like quinoa, farro, wheat berries, or oatmeal.
Yeah, I didn't go there because tonight we're talking about stress. And so healthy whole grains do contain lean protein. It's hard to kind of think that, some whole grain wheat would actually be a source of protein, but it is. And there are some nutrients that are in whole grains that are good for you. But for tonight, I wanted to focus on the things that our body tends to not get enough of in this area. We all tend to get enough of grains in our diet that we need, but most of us certainly aren't getting the fruits, vegetables, root vegetables, and lean protein. That would be especially beneficial to us when combating stress. And I think that eating grains is totally fine and good. If you don't have a food allergy or issues, healthy whole grains are a great, awesome, satisfying part of a healthy diet.
Great. I think we've gotten through all the questions. I personally want to thank you, Meg, for this wonderful presentation. It was so comprehensive, and you've covered a lot of ground, and it was very accessible. Like, you've really explained it so that we could all understand it very, very well. And that's really terrific.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy to, be a part of this and happy to be a resource.
Terrific.
Yeah. All right. So feel free to reach out to me and Ava. I'm definitely less of an expert on mindful eating and intuitive eating than Ava is. So if you have specific questions about that, she's your girl. I know the basics and I'm happy to share them with you, but if you want to dive deeper, she's going to have some more targeted resources for you. And otherwise, I look forward to answering additional questions if you drop me a line.
And a reminder to the audience that we will post the slides on Project Resilience Facebook, And I believe the Ridgefield Library, that's how you registered, is going to email you a copy as well. So you'll all have a copy of these slides. And the, sorry, the recording will be up on the Facebook page for Project Resilience within a day or two.
Awesome.
All
Well, I
right.
hope everyone enjoys the rest of their evening.
Yes. And I hope you have a nice holiday season. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.